Galaxy Council chamber was the largest hall in known space. It stretched like a dome of stars filled with colors of 100 species, glowing banners and voices speaking in countless tongues. Every seat was taken, every world was represented except one. The seat marked with the emblem of Earth stood empty again. Alien leaders leaned toward one another, whispering in doubt and laughter. Some shook their heads, others mocked softly. Humans, always absent, always hiding. The words echoed, their tone sharp and arrogant. The high speaker of the council raised his long arms and called for order. His voice thundered across the chamber. Once again, humanity ignores this gathering. They have not attended a single meeting in decades. How long shall we tolerate this disrespect? Murmurs followed. Some voices angry, some dismissive. In the far rows, a young alien historian named Relin watched quietly, his eyes fixed on the empty chair of Earth. His scales shimmered in the dim light. Unlike the others, he did not laugh. He did not mock. Instead, he felt a strange unease, as if the silence of humans was not weakness but a hidden plan. They have no power, one elder said. Their fleets are small, their technology behind, they are irrelevant. Others nodded, confident in their judgment. But Relin whispered to himself, then why do they never speak? Why do they never defend themselves? No species can stay silent forever without reason. The council moved forward, passing new laws, deciding trade routes, planning wars, but the empty human seat stood like a shadow in the room, a reminder of something unresolved. After the session ended, Relin walked down the marble halls with his mentor, an older scholar who had served the council for centuries. Teacher, he asked, why do humans never come? What are they doing on that distant blue world of theirs? The mentor laughed softly. Young one, humans are children. They play with fire but never master it. They skip meetings because they fear the truth. They are too small to matter. But Relin shook his head. I do not believe it. No race skips every council meeting without purpose. There must be something more. In the deep void of space, far from the council, human space lay quiet. Trade ships rarely left their borders. Scouts sent by other empires reported empty colonies, abandoned stations, systems that once showed life now dim. The reports gathered dust in the archives, ignored by leaders who believed humanity was fading away, yet hidden in the shadows, something else was happening. In Earth's orbit, massive shipyards floated like dark giants, cloaked from alien eyes. Within them, steel titans were being born. Warships larger than anything the Council had ever seen. Crews trained day and night, their eyes burning with silent determination, their voices steady with a single oath. When the time comes, we will rise. Back in the Council worlds, no one suspected this. They continued to laugh at Earth. They continued to believe in their own power. Relin could not silence his curiosity. Late at night, he studied old human records, battles of their past, wars fought with fire, steel, and courage. He read about their resilience, their ability to rise after every fall, and he whispered again, a people like this cannot stay silent forever. The next morning, another council session began. Again, the Earth seat was empty, and again the laughter returned. Perhaps they are too afraid, one alien lord said, his tendrils waving in amusement. Perhaps they are too weak. But beyond the stars, far from their eyes, the silence of humanity was not fear. It was the calm before a storm. The humans were not absent, they were waiting. The council could not know it yet, but one day, the doors of the chamber would tremble, the skies above their worlds would darken, and the empty seat of Earth would no longer be empty. The historian Relin felt it in his bones. He wrote in his journal that night, the silence of Earth is the greatest question of our age. And when the answer comes, the galaxy will change forever. The stars outside glittered cold and silent, as if they too were holding their breath. The council chamber closed its doors once more. The session had ended, but the whispers about humanity followed the delegates out into the streets of the capital world. Small rumors carried like sparks through the crowd. Stories of strange sightings on the edge of known space. A trader from the outer rim told his tale in a smoky tavern, his voice trembling. I saw them, I swear it, human ships, but not like before. Their hulls were black as the void. Their weapons glowed with a light I have never seen. They scanned us, then vanished, as if they were shadows. The listeners laughed nervously. Some called him a liar, but in their eyes sat quiet fear. In another system, a cargo vessel reported an abandoned colony once known to belong to humans. The farms were empty, The houses silent, no trace of life. It was as if the people had left overnight, taking everything with them. The report was filed to the council and then ignored. The council believed what they wanted to believe. Humans are retreating, humans are fading, they told themselves. Yet unease spread like an invisible wave. Reland, the young historian, continued his search. Late into the night, he read every lost record of human behavior, every war they fought, every desperate struggle they survived. He wrote to himself, "Humans do not vanish, they transform. Silence is not their weakness, silence is their shield." In the deep space between galaxies, fleets move silently, not alien fleets, but human warships in secret formation. Their engines burned without light, their signals masked. They trained in silence, preparing for some Hing greater. Back in the council city, an elder diplomat received a secret message from his scouts. The message read, "Human colonies empty, fleets not seen. We fear a great migration, something larger than we can track." The elder burned the message, whispering, "This will cause panic. Better it is forgotten." But rumors do not die so easily. On the rim of the council's reach, pirates attacked a convoy. They expected an easy prize, but in the middle of the battle, a ship appeared, sleek and silent. Its guns tore through the pirate fleet with precision. When it was over, the pirates destroyed. The mysterious vessel transmitted only 2 words, "Human command." Then it disappeared into the stars. The survivors of that convoy spoke in awe. Humans saved us, but they were different, stronger, colder. The story reached the capital, and though the leaders dismissed it as myth, the common people began to whisper, "The humans are not gone. The humans are coming." Reland listened to these whispers. His mind raced. He felt the tension building like a storm beyond the horizon. He went to his mentor again. "Teacher, the reports, the rumors, we cannot ignore them. Humanity is moving silently, powerfully." The mentor scoffed. "You see ghosts where there are none. Young one, if humans had power, they would have shown it. They hide because they are weak." But as the elder spoke, far away in the void, a human admiral stood before his officers, his voice steady. "For years they mocked us, for years they dismissed us, but every moment of silence was our preparation. Every meeting we missed was time we used to sharpen our blades. The council will soon learn what humanity has become." The officers saluted, their eyes fierce. Thousands of warships stood ready, their weapons charged, their silence heavy with promise. Back in the capital, the council gathered again, laughing as they passed new laws, believing the galaxy safe under their control. Yet beyond their borders, the whispers in the void grew louder. Traitors, pirates, diplomats all carried fragments of the truth, pieces of a puzzle that no one wanted to see. Reland looked again at the empty human seat. His heart beat faster. He knew the silence was ending. He felt it deep in his bones. He wrote in his journal, "One day soon the whispers will become thunder, and the galaxy will tremble." The stars outside the council chamber seemed to flicker strangely that night, as if they too knew what was coming. The Galaxy Council continued to laugh at Earth, but far away in the shadows, humanity prepared. In the dark silence of Earth's orbit, gigantic shipyards hung like silent fortresses, their metal frames stretching for miles, invisible to alien sensors, hidden under layers of cloaking technology. Inside these shipyards, warships were born. Not the small cruisers the Council expected, but massive vessels, each carrying weapons that could tear apart moons, engines that could cross star systems in hours, and shields stronger than anything seen in the galaxy. The workers moved like shadows, engineers, scientists, soldiers, all working together. No arguments, no delays, only one purpose. They whispered to one another, "Our silence will end in thunder." In the command chamber of the fleet, Admiral Rajan stood before a vast star map. Lines of light marked the positions of thousands of hidden ships. His voice was steady, cold. "For decades we endured their mockery. For decades we stayed silent. They thought us weak. They thought us irrelevant. But every moment was part of our design." The officers around him listened, their faces hard, their eyes filled with fire. One of them asked, "When will we strike?" The admiral replied, "Not yet. They must first believe we are nothing. Then, when their arrogance is greatest, we will reveal everything." Meanwhile, in a hidden training ground on Mars, young pilots trained day and night. Their reflexes sharpened, their spirits hardened. Instructors reminded them again and again, remember why we are silent, remember why we prepare. They think we are small, but we will show them the power of patience. Some recruits trembled, the pressure was heavy, but each one rose, each one endured, because they knew what was at stake. Back in the council chambers, the alien rulers grew bold. They declared new laws against Earth. They called humans cowards. One counselor laughed loudly. They do not come because they have nothing to offer. The chamber filled with cruel laughter, but Reland, the young historian, sat silent, his heart uneasy. He could not ignore the growing whispers. He collected every story, every rumor, every trace of human movement, and his notes painted a picture that chilled him. He wrote in his journal, "The silence is not emptiness. It is preparation, shadows gathering strength." On the farthest edge of human space, a fleet of alien spies tried to cross the border. They expected to find ruins. Instead, they vanished. No signal, no distress call, only silence. When the council asked for a report, none came. The files marked missing. Still the leaders ignored the truth. Still they mocked. Still they believed themselves invincible, but humanity was almost ready. Admiral Rajan walked along the deck of the flagship, a vessel named the Dawnbringer, its hull black and silver, its guns larger than cities. He placed his hand on the metal wall and whispered, "Soon, they will know your voice." His officers prepared the fleet for final drills. Engines roared in silence, weapons hummed with energy. Millions of men and women stood ready, trained, disciplined, united. No fear in their eyes, only patience, only fire. Meanwhile, Relin uncovered an ancient human quote in his research. The words struck him deeply. "Speak softly and carry a big stick." He trembled because now he understood. Humanity had been silent for too long. The big stick was almost ready. That night, as the council city slept under the glow of its twin moons, somewhere beyond the stars, thousands of human warships aligned in perfect formation, waiting in the dark, engines quiet, like predators ready to strike. The galaxy believed humans were weak, but the shadows told another story. The silence was almost over, and when it ended, the universe would never be the same. The Galaxy Council gathered in the great chamber once more. The lights of 100 worlds filled the dome. Voices rose, sharp and proud, and as always, the human seat remained empty. The high speaker slammed his staff on the floor. His voice thundered, "Enough! Humanity has mocked us long enough. They have skipped every meeting. They refuse to follow our laws. They insult the order of this galaxy." Cheers echoed from many corners of the chamber. Alien leaders raised their arms in agreement. An elder with silver scales hissed loudly, "We must punish them. We must send fleets to their borders. Let them feel the weight of the council," another shouted. "Yes, let them see what it means to defy us." Relin, the young historian, sat silently in the shadows, his heart uneasy. He remembered the whispers, the vanished fleets, the strange sightings, but his voice was drowned by the roar of arrogance. Emotion was passed quickly. Fleets of the council would cross into human space. They would search, they would intimidate, they would force Earth to kneel. Days later, a fleet of council warships entered the first human system. The admirals expected resistance. They expected desperate small ships, but instead, they found nothing. Planets empty, stations abandoned, no signals, only silence. Confused, the fleet moved deeper. System after system showed the same result. Silence, emptiness, as if humanity had erased its own presence. The admiral sent urgent messages back to the council. "We find no choice. Humans, no colonies, no resistance, only abandoned worlds." The council leaders mocked even this. "See, they are cowards, they have run away, they are nothing." Laughter filled the chamber once more. But in the silence of deep space, far from their eyes, massive human warships watched the intruders, cloaked, unseen, following every move, their guns locked, their crews waiting for the order to strike. Admiral Rajan stood on the bridge of the Dawnbringer, watching the enemy fleet on his screens. One officer asked, "Shall we destroy them?" The admiral shook his head. "Not yet. Let them believe we are shadows. Their arrogance will blind them, and when the moment comes, our reveal will break them completely." Back in the council, the arrogance grew. Leaders mocked humanity in speeches. They spread propaganda. They called Earth a dead world. They celebrated their victory over silence, but Reland felt no joy. Late at night, he wrote in his journal, "They do not see it. They are blind. The silence is not defeat. It is design. Humanity waits, hidden in shadows, and when they rise, the galaxy will not be ready. In the training halls of the Council City, young cadets laughed at stories of Earth. Their instructors told them, "Humans are weak. Their fleets are gone. They are no threat." The cadets repeated it like a chant, never realizing how false it was. Meanwhile, on Mars, human soldiers drilled harder, their ships polished, their weapons sharp. Their commanders shouted, "When the order comes, we strike with thunder, no hesitation." Every soldier answered in unison, "Yes, Commander." Their voices fierce, their hearts burning. Council arrogance reached its peak when they declared a new law. They officially stripped Earth of its voting rights, erasing humanity from the official records of the chamber. The hall erupted in cheers, banners rose, drums thundered. They celebrated, as if they had conquered a great enemy. Raylan stood in the crowd, but he felt only dread. He whispered to himself, "They think they have won, but they have only signed their own doom." Beyond the edges of Council space, human fleets gathered in silence, thousands of warships aligned, their weapons armed, their captains waiting. The galaxy believed humanity was erased, but in truth, humanity was about to arrive, and when they did, the stars themselves would tremble. The Galaxy Council chamber was alive with noise. Banners of power hung above. Alien leaders shouted over one another, celebrating their latest decree. Humanity had been erased from the Council record. Their names struck out with finality. The leaders laughed, proud of their strength. Then the sky outside the chamber shifted, first a shimmer, then a tremor, then a ripple that shook the atmosphere itself. Delegates rushed to the windows. Their voices fell silent, and what they saw froze their blood. From the black edge of hyperspace, a fleet emerged. Not a dozen ships, not 100, but thousands, each larger than anything the Council had ever built. Their hulls black as midnight, their lights like burning stars. Warships filled the horizon, stretching across the skies above the capital. Engines roared like thunder. Weapons glowed with deadly light. The sight was so vast, so overwhelming, that even the proudest alien leaders could only whisper in fear. "Humans," one delegate gasped, his throat dry, his hands trembling. "They have come." The fleet moved with perfect unity, lines of ships forming walls of steel, carriers releasing smaller crafts like swarms of fireflies, destroyers sliding into position, dreadnoughts casting shadows over the city below. On the bridge of the Dawnbringer, Admiral Rajan stood tall, his eyes fixed on the capital world, his voice calm, steady. "Signal the Council, let them see who we are, let them hear our silence. Break." A burst of light shot from the flagship, a message carried across every channel, every screen in the chamber flickered, and then the human emblem appeared. The emblem they had mocked, the emblem they had erased, now burning bright across the galaxy's heart. The chamber fell into chaos. Voices shouted, some in rage, some in terror, but none in control. The high speaker trembled as he shouted, "How? How did they build this? How did we not see?" Rellin sat quietly in the far corner, his heart racing, but his mind clear. He whispered, "I knew it." The silence was never weakness. It was the waiting of hunters. In space above, human warships shifted again, their weapons aligned, their cannons locked. The hum of energy spread across the fleet, a sound like the growl of an approaching storm. The Council guards raised their defenses. Ships scrambled from the capital's docks. But the comparison was laughable. Human vessels dwarfed them. Their shields shimmered with power that alien eyes had never witnessed. A single human destroyer fired, not at the capital, but at a barren moon nearby. In one flash, the moon cracked, shattered, and crumbled into dust. The debris scattered across the void. Silence followed. Inside the chamber, no one spoke, no one laughed. Fear spread like wildfire. The same leaders who mocked Earth now sat frozen, staring at the screens, their arrogance turned to dread. The broadcast continued. A human voice filled the chamber, steady and sharp. "For years you ignored us. For years you mocked us. But silence is not surrender. Silence is preparation. We did not come to ask for respect. We came to demand it." The delegates sat pale and shaking, some lowering their eyes, some clutching their robes in silence. On the balcony of the chamber, Raylan leaned forward, his journal clutched in his hands. He whispered to himself, "This is the turning of HFY Story. The age of the Council is ending. The age of humanity has begun. Above the capital world, the fleet spread wider, blocking out the stars, black warships stretching like an endless wall. The people of the city looked up in awe and terror. Some fell to their knees, others ran in panic. None could deny the truth. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galaxy Council chamber shook with fear. The delegates sat frozen, their voices trapped in their throats. Above them, the human fleet spread across the sky like a dark storm, thousands of warships waiting in silence. Suddenly, the screens lit again. The image of Admiral Rajan filled the chamber, his uniform sharp, his eyes cold. Behind him, the Dawnbringer's bridge glowed with the hum of power. His voice cut through the silence, steady and sharp. For decades you mocked us. For decades you dismissed us. You thought our silence was weakness. But every year we stayed away, every meeting we skipped. We were building this. He raised his hand, and the image behind him shifted, showing rows upon rows of human fleets stretching into the void. The delegates gasped. Some cried out, others sank back in their chairs, their arrogance now shattered. The high speaker tried to stand tall, his voice shaking. You cannot threaten the council. We are the law of the galaxy. Admiral Rajan's eyes narrowed, his tone colder. Law without respect is nothing. You never respected us. You erased our name. You called us cowards. Today you will learn the cost of arrogance. Outside, one human dreadnought fired a single beam into the void. The energy tore through space and shattered an asteroid field in seconds, turning rock into dust. The shockwave rippled across the capital's defense lines. Alien generals shouted orders. Their fleets scrambled, but their ships looked like toys compared to the giants of Earth. Their weapons fired, but the blasts bounced off human shields. Useless. Humans did not fire back. They only watched, letting the council see the difference, letting them feel their helplessness. Then Admiral Rajan spoke again, his words heavy. We are not here to destroy, but do not mistake restraint for weakness. You have one choice: accept humanity as your equal, or watch your empire fall. Silence filled the chamber. The leaders trembled. Some whispered prayers, others cursed under their breath. No one dared speak loudly. Relan, the young historian, felt his heart pound. He wrote quickly in his journal, "This moment will echo for centuries, the ultimatum of Earth, the silence that became thunder." One alien lord tried to resist, his voice sharp. You cannot dictate terms. The council bows to no one. His words were bold, but his hands shook. The admiral turned his gaze, calm, merciless. He raised his hand again, a signal. A single human warship broke formation, aimed at a frozen moon orbiting the capital world. Its cannons glowed, and in one instant the entire moon shattered, split apart like glass, fragments scattering into the void. The light of its death reflected in the eyes of every delegate. Gasps filled the chamber. Screams followed, the sound of fear louder than any law. The alien lord who had spoken sank back into his seat, pale, defeated. This is not conquest, Admiral Rajan said, his voice slow, steady. This is balance. You treated us as less. Now you will treat us as equal, or the next world to shatter will not be empty. The high speaker collapsed back into his throne, his arrogance gone, his body trembling. He could not answer. None of them could. Relan whispered again. They came not to join the council, but to command it. Above the capital, the human fleet held its position, silent, waiting, their weapons glowing faintly like the promise of thunder yet to come. The ultimatum had been delivered. The Galaxy would never return to what it was before. The Galaxy Council chamber was silent. The leaders who once mocked and laughed now sat pale, their voices broken. The shadow of human warships filled the sky above their capital, thousands of ships holding position, weapons glowing, waiting. Admiral Rajan stood firm on the screen, his face calm, his eyes sharp. He spoke with a weight that crushed the arrogance of centuries. The time of mockery is over. The time of silence is over. Today begins a new order. The high speaker tried to answer, his lips trembling. What? What do you want from us? His voice cracked. The admiral replied, steady and cold. Respect, equality, and truth. Humanity will no longer be ignored. No species will be treated as less. The council will change, or it will fall. The words echoed through the chamber, like thunder rolling through stone walls. An elder with silver scales, once bold, now whispered, You cannot ask for this. It will break our laws. His voice was thin, weak. Rajan leaned forward, his voice sharper. Your laws were built on arrogance. Your council survived by silencing others. That era ends today. If you wish to stand, you will stand beside us, not above us. Outside, the Dawnbringer moved slowly into view, its massive hull casting a shadow over the capital. The people below looked up in terror and awe, their world covered in darkness, their skies filled with fire and steel. Relan, the historian, watched from the corner, his journal clutched in his hands, his heart racing. He whispered, "This is history. This is the day the galaxy changed." In the chamber, silence stretched long, until finally one delegate stood, his head bowed. We accept. Humanity will have equal place in the council." Others followed, one by one, voices trembling, some out of fear, some out of realization, until the chamber was filled with the sound of surrender. But Rajan was not finished. His voice cut through again. "Hear me well, this fleet is not a threat. It is a reminder. Humanity seeks peace, but peace built on respect, not on chains, not on lies. If you forget this, we will return, and next time we will not stop at moons." The leaders lowered their eyes, none dared argue. Outside, the human fleet began to shift, ships turning slowly, their engines glowing as they prepared to depart. But their presence left an imprint on the hearts of every being who saw them. In the streets of the capital, ordinary citizens whispered in fear and awe. The humans, they were silent, but now they roar. They came with fire. They came with thunder. Raylan wrote his final entry that night. The silence of Earth was never weakness, it was patience. Humanity returned not as beggars, not as victims, but as leaders. The galaxy has entered a new age, the age of respect, the age of humanity. As the Dawnbringer led the fleet back into hyperspace, the stars swallowed their shadows. But their message remained. No longer would Earth be the empty seat in the council. No longer would humans be mocked. They had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The new order had begun.